You're not happy. Do you know what you're not happy about?
No, it doesn't feel like it's anything specific. Like, I know I can do everything I need to do or want to do. So actually at Christmas time, I did try cross-country skiing. It was really hard.
Was it fun?
Not as fun as it should have been. It was more hard than fun.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. If you've ever felt like you've survived your stroke, but something still isn't right, like you don't quite feel like yourself anymore, then this episode is going to resonate with you. Today, I'm speaking with Heidi Loveridge, who experienced a right MCA stroke at 43. Physically, she's made incredible progress, but emotionally, things have been a lot more complicated. And what's really powerful about this conversation is how honest she is about that. Before we dive in, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who continues to support the podcast. If you have picked up a copy of my book at recoveryafterstroke.com/book, thank you. That support helps keep these conversations going. And to the Patreon supporters, thank you for being a part of this program and helping me create content that reaches stroke survivors all around the world. All right, let's get into this episode with Heidi. Heidi Loveridge, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about before stroke? What was life like? What were you up to? What kind of things did you enjoy doing?
Yeah. So I love being outside. And I used to, before my stroke, I was a total introvert. And my biggest hobby is knitting. And so I used to always knit, I used to bring knitting to meetings and stuff because I could, or parties, so I could avoid chatting. But now I love talking to strangers. So I used to be a total introvert before my stroke too. But now a stranger is just somebody who's not my friend yet, who I haven't met. A stranger is a friend I haven't met yet.
Is that a mindset shift? Is that a life's short thing? Like, what is it?
I don't know. I just suddenly don't care what people think about me anymore. I can do hard things now, I know. Yes.
And
So
before
Heidi,
you
before
cared deeply about what other people who you didn't know thought about you.
Yes. So my stroke happened on my 20th wedding anniversary. We were actually planning on going on a big camping trip to actually we had a little small cabin booked at Vancouver Island's most in the middle of nowhere pub. And so I was planning on doing camping, and we have a little tin boat and a motor. So we were going to go around the inlet up so Vancouver Island is on the west coast of Canada. It's actually quite mild here. So it's kind of a temperate rainforest here. And I used to love spending time outside, camping, hiking, but not like hiking where I have to carry too much heavy stuff. That's too much for me.
Okay.
I'm actually getting to the point that I can imagine that I might be able to do that stuff again soon.
Okay. Were you working back then?
Yes, I was working. So I do procurement. So I buy stuff for the local transit agency.
Okay.
And I have lots of dogs in my life.
How many?
Well, there's currently 3 dogs in my house right now. So I have a friend that breeds Shelties, and so she lets me take care of her puppies.
Okay. And I'm curious. Can I hear one of them panting right now?
Oh, there's a fan. There's a filter beside me. I'll turn it off. An air filter. Oh, my husband is in the garage in the other room, and he sounds like he's sanding something.
It's all happening.
That must be what you're hearing.
It is what I'm hearing. I'm going to be rude, and I'm going to wonder whether or not, can we ask him to stop doing that for a little bit?
Yeah. Dave!
Yeah, he is too. It's not going to make for a good video.
He's not hearing me. Here, I'll send him a text message.
Okay. Apologize profusely for me.
Yes, I will.
I hate to get in the way of a man in his garage or shed.
He's in the garage. Okay, I sent the message. He hasn't read it yet, but we'll see.
What's he making?
I don't know. He tends to collect bits of wood and just makes things depending on what he's feeling like.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder, he might have got the message.
Yeah. Yes, he's read it now. He says sorry. Thanks, Dave.
So you're a dog mama?
Yes.
Or a caregiver, dog caregiver?
Yes. Yes, I have the joy of participating in the lives of dogs.
Yeah. Okay. So the work, was a busy kind of work life? Was there a lot happening?
Yeah, I was pretty busy. Except being a total introvert, I used to love spending time at home. But now after my stroke, I suffered a little bit from anxiety before my stroke, but now I'm pretty sure I can be called that I'm depressed now too, which I'm working on with
Do
my
you have it?
doctor. But yeah,
Okay, you experience a little bit of depression.
yeah, yes.
Do you have a sense?
I've cried a lot since my stroke, and I've actually seen the love of so many strangers. It's surprising how many people are willing to give you a hug when you're crying in public.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you have a sense of kind of what is behind the depression, or does it just come on and you're not really aware of why it comes on?
So I think it's related to my brain injury,
Okay.
and apparently it's
And how are
It's
you
like
working
it's
with it?
common with the right MCA stroke.
Ah, okay. And how do you kind of work with it or deal with it or manage it?
Well, I walked a lot. Yes, going for walks is how I help myself.
Okay. Is it just getting out fresh air? Is it just getting the
Yeah,
body moving? Is it
it's moving and fresh air, I'm sure.
okay? And then does knitting have a role to play in that? Because even though we're chatting on a podcast, you're still knitting. So I
Yeah,
imagine knitting is kind of something that you always do everywhere, all the time.
yeah, yeah. Not so much now, but I used to be like totally obsessed.
And was it just a distraction tool? It was obviously okay.
Mm.
I see
All
what
my
you mean.
yarn over there.
It's obviously also a creative
Yes,
pursuit. You end up
yes,
making something, and that's
yes. I've actually
useful in
made the
different
sweater that I'm
ways.
wearing right now.
There you go, right? But was it really a tool? Did it start off as a tool to be in public, but without really connecting with people?
A little bit, yeah. But it started because at one point I used to work so many jobs. I used to work a full-time job, and then I used to do bookkeeping on the side. And then I stopped bookkeeping, and suddenly I had all this time, so I needed to find a hobby.
Okay, okay. So are you somebody that doesn't like spare time? Can you not sit quietly somewhere in a room and
Oh,
contemplate life,
I
or
used
read a
to.
book, or
Now I
uh-huh,
can read books now still.
uh-huh. Okay. So a very interesting person. You've gone from being an introvert in the house
Yeah.
to having had a stroke, and things have shifted. You like connecting with people. You don't mind
Yes.
getting a hug from strangers,
No.
and you're out and about as much as you can.
Yes, exactly.
Tell me about the day of the stroke. What was that like?
Well, I was falling. My balance was off that day, and I kept on coming to save me, pick me up off the ground. There's actually a big dent in the garbage can in my bathroom that was from my head doing it. But apparently, which I don't remember this personally, but according to my medical records, apparently I was having symptoms for 4 days. My balance was off for a while before I
Uh-huh.
actually, and then Dave asked me if he thought I needed to go, if I thought I needed to go to the hospital, and I did not. But then he called the nurse's health line, and they said, I think she's having a stroke. And then, so we called the ambulance, and then soon the ambulance then knew that I was suspected for a stroke. So they took me to the proper hospital where the stroke unit is.
Did you have any sense in those days leading up to it that something was off, things weren't right?
No, nothing big, no. Though apparently I thought I had a migraine headache in the days before.
Was a migraine headache common?
Yes, yeah, that's because when I got my stack of files from the hospital through Freedom of Information, and that apparently was one of my risk factors, migraines with aura.
Is a risk factor for stroke down the line?
Yes, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
And
that
used to
and
migraines with
oral
aura are
contraceptives.
pretty big deal.
Yeah,
Migraines with aura are
yeah,
pretty intense experiences, aren't they?
yeah,
What
yes.
was it
I
like
do
to
remember a
experience a
time.
migraine like that?
Yeah, I remember a time when I was a kid. I was having a migraine with aura, and I remember my arm just flinging out of nowhere by itself. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe that was my first sign that I was gonna have a stroke one day.
Maybe not.
Maybe not though. Yeah.
And
Yes.
then contraceptive pill you mentioned.
Yeah.
Were you taking the contraceptive pill?
Yes, I was, and no
Okay.
longer, never again.
Yeah. So did they find the underlying cause of the stroke? Did they
No,
give you a diagnosis for that?
no. I was just having hypercoagulability of my blood. Like I actually had blood clots in my lungs too.
Right.
Yeah.
There wasn't any physical collision, altercation with a piece of
No,
furniture or anything like
no,
that.
nothing. Yeah. No good. There's no reason. Just a fluke. It seems like.
Yeah. But contraceptive pill
Yeah.
comes up so many times with people who've had a stroke.
Yeah, but they can't test for that.
No. And they
They
wouldn't want
tested
to
me
be,
for everything. All the cancers. I definitely know that I'm cancer free for a little while.
yeah, that's good. That is
Yeah.
very good. And there was no hole in the heart or anything like that.
No
No high blood
PFO, yeah.
pressure.
Yeah, they tested for
Yeah.
that. I did the bubble study. Nope, none of that.
Yeah. Did you do a blood test that kind of determined whether or not you have one of the blood clotting disorders?
Yeah, they did that too. Nope, I don't have one of those.
Yeah.
Or else
Wow.
I suspect I would have
Okay.
clotted a lot sooner.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. So it was one of those unknown things, and we're never going to know whether it was a contraceptive pill or not. How old were
No.
you at the time?
I was 43.
Okay. Yeah. How long had you been on the pill for?
Like since I was a teenager. I was actually born with 2 uteruses, so I had issues as a kid with like my periods and stuff.
So that helped
Yes.
manage that whole situation.
Yeah. I was born 2 uteruses, 1 kidney.
We'll continue with Heidi in just a moment. Turn2.ai is an AI health sidekick that searches over 500,000 sources related to stroke, new research, expert discussions, patient stories, and resources, and keeps you updated on what is most relevant to you each week. Try it for free and get 10% off by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in the description. Now, let's get back to Heidi. Something got mixed up in the booking.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a very rare thing, I imagine. Probably not
Yeah.
many people are born with, well, firstly, 1 kidney and then
Yes.
2 uteruses at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I get to be special.
Do they love you at the hospital? Were you one of those people that everyone got around, they wanted to see, they wanted to be a part of the consultations?
No, I didn't feel popular at the hospital.
Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you see doctors, they get excited when there's a rare case or something they've never seen
Yeah,
before. The person's having the worst day of their life or they're really
yeah,
unwell, but they're really
yes,
excited to see them. You know, they want to see
yeah,
them. They want to bring everyone
yes.
in, come and have a look.
Yes, that's what it felt like the day I found out that I had 2 uteruses. There was one
Uh-huh.
person doing the ultrasound on me, and then they called in another person. And I was like, oh, something's up.
Right. Do you see what I see, or is it just my double vision?
I don't know. What do you see? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's exactly what they were saying.
what they were doing.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you manage to get to the cabin or to the particular place, the
No,
destination that you guys were heading to on that day?
no, we did not. I was in the hospital for like 6 weeks.
Uh-huh. When you woke up from the initial hospitalization, what
Hmm.
what was that like? How did you kind of experience that moment in your life?
Like, I feel like I remember the first day of the hospital. So, like, I didn't have any time that I passed out or became unconscious, I don't think. Which is surprising, because I used to pass out all the time. Like, I'd knock my toenail or something and I'd pass out. I used to pass out at the dentist. But now I'm good.
Why?
I don't know. I used to panic.
Uh-huh. It was an autonomic nervous system kind of
Yeah,
response. You would just shut down?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But now I can do hard things. I actually went to the dentist for the first time in 20 years last week. No
And it was
cavities in
easy.
20 years of not going to the dentist.
Okay. All right. Share your no cavities technique. Is it just brushing every day? It's got to be more
Yeah, I
than that.
guess. I don't know. I don't floss really, but I've just been really lucky with my teeth.
We're doing a deep dive into all of your habits.
Yeah,
Um, and no cavities for 20 years. That's an
yeah,
awesome experience, especially if you haven't been to the dentist.
yeah. No cavities in my childhood either. I have one filling, which was like a preventative measure. Like, oh, there's a bit of a divot in your tooth. We should put something in there so you can't get a cavity.
Ah. Did mum and dad must have loved you? Like you're the kind of kid that, didn't cost your parents anything.
No, though they did get me braces though when I was a kid.
They did. They straightened up your teeth and they thought,
Yeah.
now we've spent some money on your teeth, look after
Yes.
them and never get a
Yeah.
cavity.
Yes. So
And you did.
I'm actually felt quite like I told them right away, like I didn't get a cavity in 20 years. Though I was ashamed to say that I didn't go to the dentist though, because like they're very up on dental care. It's very important for them.
Yeah, it is very important for many things, dental care, believe it or not. Apparently, some dental gum diseases are a risk factor for heart conditions.
Yes, and stroke.
And
Yeah.
gingivitis, I think it is a
Yeah.
risk. Now, I don't go to the dentist regularly either. I kind of try to avoid the dentist. I floss and
Yeah.
I brush, but I try to avoid the dentist. They're just
Yeah.
uncomfortable, right? Having your mouth open and people probing in there. I
Yeah.
get it. And some people have a lot of issues around that. So it's
Yes.
perfectly okay. But it's important to have good dental health care because it helps you
Yeah.
avoid other
Yes.
medical conditions, which is so
Yeah.
weird.
Is dental care covered in Australia?
No, not particularly. No.
No, here neither. But I've had benefits for so many years, and I just didn't use them,
Hmm.
like
You
employer
didn't
paid
need to.
benefits.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So on the day of the stroke,
Mhm.
you remember basically the whole thing. You ended up in hospital
Yeah, I can.
and
I remember the
everyone,
ambulance ride.
uh-huh. What were you thinking? Were you thinking, what's happening here? Am I
Yeah.
going to die? Did you have any of those types of experiences?
No. Yeah, looking through my file, they say lots of stuff like I'm patient is calm. I just let myself get taken care of.
You just kind of left yourself in the hands of the experts.
Yeah, exactly. Please fix me.
Is that because you're normally mild-mannered or you just realized that you were in a situation where you couldn't do anything about?
No, I'm very mild mannered. Yeah, I don't argue with
Yeah.
anybody.
Even if they're wrong?
And maybe I guess it might depend on what they're wrong about, but I generally let people have their own opinions. People are allowed to think what they want. That's not my problem.
I love it. I love it.
I can't change everybody's
Um,
minds.
yeah. That makes for a more at ease interaction with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It decreases probably conflict and all that kind of stuff. Are you
Yeah.
conflict averse? Is that why you do it?
Yes, I do not like conflict. Though, actually, I've changed in that way too. Because I have a neighbor who tells my dogs to shut up in his backyard. And that before my stroke, he used to just go straight to my heart. Like I would I'd feel so bad about that. Now, I don't care when he says that. He can tell him to shut up as much as he wants. That's his problem.
And would you approach a person like that and say to them, stop speaking to my
No,
animals like that?
no, I'd be scared.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're conflict averse and also you don't want to cause a situation
Yeah.
that might escalate.
Yes, I just want people to like me.
Ah, okay. I get it. And
Mhm.
this kind of stems back, all this is kind of stuff from when you were a kid, when you were
Yeah, my whole
younger,
life. Yeah.
and being an introvert. Are introverted people similar to people who you hear described as being shy?
Yes, I was called shy my whole childhood.
But it's actually introversion.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't need
Uh-huh.
after when the COVID pandemic happened, I was actually so excited to be able to work from home. Like it changed my life, not having to go to work every day.
Wow.
Yes. Oh,
Is that
so
because that meant less interactions with people in the public
yeah,
transport system or
yeah,
on the way to
exactly.
work or wherever?
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Is it debilitating or is it kind of just you? It seems like it could be debilitating for some people if they're really
yes,
trying to avoid interactions with people all the time, especially in public places where you got to go
yeah,
shopping or you got to pick up supplies.
yes. I was okay being in public. It's just like because there's no assumption that I need to talk to people when I'm in public.
Ah, okay.
So now I talk to people all the time. I'm willing to tell anybody that I've had a stroke because I'm looking for people like me.
Yeah. Did people mistake your
Mm-hmm.
behavior, your introvertedness
Yeah.
or your shyness
Yes.
for being rude?
Yes. Some people, yes. But actually, I was quite popular. I am quite popular at work. Like, everybody really likes me. So, like, people might not even know I'm an introvert at work. Sometimes I can fake it so well.
Ah, you're one of those sneaky introverts that
Yeah.
pretends they're an extrovert.
Yes, but then totally wiped after a day at work when you have to talk to everybody.
Aha. So then you come home and you don't want to talk to anybody.
No, yeah, like Fridays. If people wanted to invite me over for dinner, I was like, oh, Fridays is hard for me. Like, I just had a whole long week and I want to, like, do nothing for a night.
Many spouses would love to hear that their partner didn't want to speak to them after a long week for a little while.
Yeah. Well, I think Dave is also a quiet guy too, so he was
You guys
happy.
get each other.
Yeah. But actually now I feel like I pushed him out of his comfort zone. Because right after this, when I got home from the stroke, I was constantly like going to people's houses. And like,
And Dave's like, who is this person always wanting to go
yeah,
out all the time?
Exactly. And I put him in uncomfortable situations, like visiting people that he'd never met before. I'd be like, oh, my old coworker, Judy, she lives out here. Let's see if she'll have us over.
And Judy said yes.
Yeah, she did. And we had a lovely time together.
And then you went to Judy, and Judy didn't realize that you are now no longer an introvert. You're an extrovert, because she always saw the extrovert.
Yeah, exactly. And she was definitely an extrovert, and she still is, and she's always been.
And she just thinks everything's normal.
Yeah.
Heidi's normal.
Exactly. Yeah, not everybody knows that I was
Wow.
faking it the whole time. Yeah.
So I had a friend who passed away a few years ago who used to insist that he was an introvert.
Yeah.
I never saw it. All I ever saw was the extroverted side of him. He would be in front of a stage, in front of audiences, speaking, talking. He'd be on podcasts.
Yeah.
He would be at your house. He would chew your ear off in a conversation. And it was like, Grant, I don't know. I think I don't see the introvert person at all, the one that you keep telling me about. And he insisted that he was. And I even went to his house and hung out with them. Slept there a couple of nights because they were quite away from our place. Never ever saw the introverted side of him, but he insisted that he was. But I never had that experience.
Wow. So I think my biggest success since having my stroke is that now I never used to drive before my stroke. I've never been a driver, but now I know I can do hard stuff. So I have my learners now.
Wow, you never got your license.
Yeah, so not until I was 44.
Were you afraid of getting your license?
A little bit, yeah. Mostly like I just associate driving with people just getting mad at you. Like people road raging and stuff. But now I don't care what people think. Yeah.
Which happens, but it's very, very rare that you would get into that type of interaction.
Yeah.
So for that rare potential, you would rather have opted out of that than opted in.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody gets mad at you on the bus.
Yeah.
You know?
So did it interfere with your, it doesn't sound like it did, but I was going to say with your ability to get around and, go to places you wanted to see and do all of that? Or did just Dave pick up the slack?
Yeah, he had to pick up the slack a little bit. But I also grew up very comfortable with transit. I grew up in Toronto, which has like subways and like it's a transit system up here in Victoria.
And now at 44, you have a learner's permit. Yeah. And you've been driving for how long?
Like maybe since November.
Was it exciting?
I need to like bring in my inner teenager, like who's really excited about driving, so that I like practice more.
Okay.
Yes.
But the decision to go and train and try and get your permit was just like, yeah, I have to do this. I've been missing out. What was it?
Well, I just don't like staying home anymore alone.
And if Dave's not available, you need to be able to get out.
And I'd like to go. I'd like to take my dogs with me when I go places.
Wow. And that wasn't an issue beforehand. You never had that issue beforehand in your mind.
Yes. Actually, I have an electric bicycle that I used, but I can't take my dog on the bike. Though we do have a dog backpack, but she's a little bit heavy. I mean, she's only a 20-pound Sheltie, but the backpack isn't very good for that weight.
Wow. When you came out of hospital, were there deficits that you had to deal with and recover from?
Yes. I left the hospital with a slip to go pick up a wheelchair and a walker from the Red Cross. But I think I got past the walker and the wheelchair pretty quickly.
So you had to use the wheelchair and the walker for what reason? What was the deficit that you were?
Because I had left-sided weakness.
Okay. And was it your leg didn't know where it was in the world? Was it kind of getting retrained to help you stay up, or is it still weak and still challenging?
It's not weak anymore, but it was weak when I left the hospital still.
Okay. And what about your hand, your left hand?
Yes, I think I use it almost like normal, except I can't write very good anymore. Like my fine motor skills. Yeah, I'm left-handed too.
Okay. So is it just like chicken scratchings now?
Yeah, it's a disaster. Oh, there was one point I had to go to the Service Canada, the government, to get my social insurance number updated to my married name because the system was like, it wasn't adding up when I was trying to apply for benefits. And then the guy asked me to write something down. And then he said, you need to write it down so I can read it. And I said, well, I had to get Dave to write it for me because I couldn't. That was the best I could do at that time. Yes.
And has that improved since?
Yes, it's legible now, I think.
Yeah. Does the knitting, what about the knitting? Did that get interfered with the hand challenge?
That was when I was in the hospital still. That was one of my goals. I need to start knitting again.
Uh-huh. And that wasn't an issue? Did you get the knitting?
Oh, it was an issue.
skill?
I could not knit at the beginning. My hand could
okay.
not do the fine motor skill at all. But I actually think I knit right-handed, apparently. Because I can follow any pattern. So that probably helps.
Oh.
Like, the left hand just kind of holds the needle. It doesn't really do too much, you know?
Okay. So you
But-
knit right-handed, but you're left-handed.
Yeah.
So I'm right-handed, and then
Yes.
I bat. So if I was
Mm.
swinging a baseball bat or a cricket
Yeah.
bat, I bat left-handed.
Ah. Interesting.
It's a bit weird. I don't know why. And
I
very
also bat
rare to
left-handed.
find a left-handed batsman.
Yeah.
Apparently it's very rare. And anyhow, that's one of the things that I picked up in my
Right.
time, that I was a left-handed batsman, but a right-handed at everything else.
That's not post-stroke, though. That was your whole life.
No, my whole life, yeah. And post-stroke, it's my left hand that's affected. So
Ah.
holding a bat now feels a bit weird, but
Yeah.
I can still do it. So 6 weeks in hospital, came home
Yeah.
with a wheelchair and
Yeah.
a walker.
Yeah.
And what about work? Like, what happened with work? How did you manage that?
I was off work for a long time.
How long?
Like 8 months.
8 months. Wow.
Yeah.
As well as the left side weakness, what other deficits were you dealing with?
It's my emotions that were terrible. I cried all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can still cry at the drop of a dime. I cried today, actually.
Yeah. Have you heard of the pseudobulbar affect?
Yes. That might be something that I have. I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody really diagnoses it, but it's very common and it is a
Yeah.
thing. And I was very, very teary for the first few years after all of my brain hemorrhages, and still can get very teary
Yeah.
at the drop of a hat. Yeah. Yesterday in Australia, well, at the moment, it's Orthodox Easter.
Yes.
So I went to church yesterday, and I
Yes.
barely go to church, but every couple of, there's an event, we go.
Yeah.
But I'm not a church goer.
No.
And I found myself getting teary at the service. And
Yeah.
that's something I've never done before. That was a little bit strange.
Yes.
I didn't allow it to escalate to tears and crying.
Yeah.
I hid it quite well, but it happened just out of nowhere.
Yes. Yeah. I actually started going back to church since my stroke.
Mm-hmm.
It started as like, I just want to spend time with people.
Uh-huh.
But it was the church I grew up going to as a child. So like, I'm sure my family's very excited that I've gone back to church.
Of course they have.
The black sheep has
She's gone
returned.
back eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's hope. And do you go regularly, or is it literally for services and everything, or is it just for the catch-ups with people?
I go to everything right now.
Mm-hmm. You're either all in or all out, Heidi, by the sound of things.
Yes. It's caused a little bit of trouble with my husband because he says we stopped going together. And we did. That's how I met him. I met him in church. And then we both stopped going at the same time.
Did you guys grow out of it, perhaps?
Yeah. But now I feel like I need hope in my life. That I'm not going to feel terrible forever. And I'm recognizing how lucky I am that it's just like my emotions that are struggling still.
Yeah.
Like
And
physically,
mental
I can do almost
health,
anything I want.
Yeah. And there was some mental health there a little bit with the depression.
Yeah.
And church kind of fills that void a little bit. It sounds like church fills that space and helps you overcome that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, community in a church is awesome. Always. Communities are usually brilliant. You go to a church, there's amazing, helpful people, supportive. You know that you can even, in the worst time, lean on the people in that community. They'll rally around you. They'll support you. They'll support your husband, your family.
Yeah.
So it can be an amazing place to hang out, even if you're not really churchy or religious or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's no different to that would like-minded people. It'd be no
Mhm.
different to being part of a sports club or
Yeah.
some other a knitting club or any other kind of
Yes.
club.
Yes. I'm also part of a women's circle.
That doesn't surprise me. Tell me about the women's circle. What do they do
Yes.
there?
So we get there and you talk about things in your life that are bothering you. So right now it's my stroke. It's so stroke related.
That's brilliant. And how many women get together and how often?
There's 8 of us and we get together about every week, Tuesday evenings.
In person?
In person, yeah.
You wouldn't probably do a Zoom one now, would you?
I'd rather not. I like people in
Yeah.
real life better.
The old Heidi would, but
Yeah.
this Heidi, no.
Yes. Old Heidi. Once a week was a big commitment.
So the women's circle, that's brilliant. So women from the community that you
Yeah.
didn't know when you met, when you went to the circle.
No, I didn't. We didn't. There were no friends. So like, there's no baggage. Like, there's no like, oh, I can't tell this. They know my sister. Like, they don't know my sister.
Ah, okay. Like your own circle of people where you can just go and be you and you don't have to worry about
Exactly.
anything else getting out.
Yeah.
I like that. That's why I used to go to counseling. So I could just have my counselor there who had my back, but was willing
Yeah.
also to test me and also willing to, what's the word? Mostly test my thinking, like give
Yeah.
pushback on the things that I would say. But whatever I said there, yeah, there was no judgment, there was no
Oh.
interaction that was anything other than about me. And I was able
Yes.
to express how I wanted to express it, but get some guided support
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
counseling and feedback that was not based on me being right or wrong. It was just
Yes.
feedback.
It wasn't judgmental feedback. Like, oh, you're an idiot for feeling that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. How helpful is that to you to think like that about your brother Bill? And I'd be like, maybe it's not so helpful to think about my brother in
Yeah.
that way. Okay. And then the next question might be, well, how might you think about your brother? That
Mm-hmm.
is helpful, even though he did something that bugged you or annoyed you or frustrated
Oh.
you as uh, your childhood relationship has moved into your adult life,
Yeah.
because sometimes we don't realize that we're still pretending as adults that we're 13-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And I used to react like a 13-year-old kid when my brother would do something or say something that was never meant in a way for me to, to get offended or upset about,
No.
because I was a 13-year-old kid responding. And it was like,
Exactly.
oh, okay, here's some feedback for you about how
Mm-hmm.
you respond and whether or not it's helpful at all. And whether or
Yeah.
not actually you can park that behavior, your response, to the 13-year-old. Just park it
Mm-hmm.
there and find a new way to respond. Evolve.
Yeah. Exactly. And your
I like
brother won't
your
mind
approach.
if you respond in a nicer way.
My brother would definitely not mind if I responded in a nicer way. He
Yeah.
definitely appreciated that. And I could
Mm-hmm.
find a different way to tackle my problem with what he said by just being a normal human being and communicating
Yeah.
instead of reacting like a 13-year-old younger brother.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I do like your mild-mannered nature. I do
Yeah.
like that kind of approach as well, and avoiding conflict and finding ways to get around conflict. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I think that's a good skill to have, because conflict usually doesn't achieve anything in most
Yeah.
scenarios. It just
Most of the
makes
time it doesn't.
things worse.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
It really does.
yeah. So that's kind of where I went to get that
Mm-hmm.
kind of support. But there are men's groups, and
Yeah.
um, glad to hear there are women's groups
Mm-hmm.
that other stroke survivors listening perhaps might get. Here's an idea. I
Yeah.
could do a little bit of a search and find one. And if you can't get out and about, perhaps
Mm-hmm.
there is an online one, and you are happy to do an online one.
Yeah.
That'd be a great place to start. Does it also help that the other women share their challenges and their
Yeah.
things that they're going through?
Yeah. It's like, oh, it makes you realize you're not the only one struggling.
Hmm.
We just all have a different kind of struggling that we're doing.
Mm.
It's not necessarily worse than
As an
anybody else's.
introvert
Mm-hmm.
previously, did that exacerbate how you felt about things, not connecting with a lot of other people in a deep and meaningful way like that? Perhaps did that
Yeah.
make your feelings of I'm the only one going through this more or worse?
Yes. I think I just preferred meaningful conversation as opposed to like, how's the weather? which I found was so hard to
Yeah.
get in large groups.
Yeah. I have a similar kind of need. I need to not be talking about the previous day's football scores or
Yeah.
uh, what the prime minister did, or
Yeah, something that matters you want to talk about.
yeah, yeah. Because usually people talking about the daily happenings, they're just talking at a surface level. They're just expressing very narrow views about things that they don't know much about at all, and they're not
Yeah,
really
exactly.
going. They're not taking a deeper dive, and all I feel like they're doing is exacerbating their pain and suffering by reiterating what they think they've heard or what they think is happening, that and how it impacts them and makes them feel bad. If you tune out from the news and you don't watch the news for a week or two, then you haven't missed anything. Like it's like days of our lives. You could just pick up 6 months later. What you do is tune into the one
Exactly.
episode every 6 months, and you just pick up where you left off.
It's very true.
So tell me a little bit about what it was like coming home for the first time after your 6 weeks. Was it daunting? Did you feel things you'd never felt
Yes.
before? What was it?
Yes, it felt daunting. Like, I'd lost my desire to cook. So, fortunately, a friend from my women's circle, she knew a guy that made frozen meals. And that was amazing. And I filled up my freezer. But, like, people feeding me made me so happy. Like, oh, thank you. I actually lost 20 pounds since my stroke.
Just because you moved less, you ate less?
Yeah.
Even though you moved less initially?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess hospital food is notoriously not that good.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what started it.
But you couldn't even find were you able to cook for yourself, or?
Yes. Yeah. In occupational therapy at the hospital, that was one of my things. I said I need to cook something, so I made spaghetti sauce and pasta in the hospital. But of course, I wasn't hungry at the time, so I didn't eat it.
Ah, yeah, but you made it.
Yeah.
And then when you came home, you didn't have the desire to do. And is that a role that you kind of played in your relationship with Dave?
Yeah, I used to always plan the food and stuff, yeah.
Uh-huh. And has that had to flip over? Is Dave taken over that task?
Yeah,
now?
he had to step up a little bit more. But actually, I'm a little bit transitioning back to the Heidi that makes dinner.
Okay, so you found your way back. You've been able to kind of find your way back.
I'm sort of finding my way back a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's part of the recovery, kind of continuing and evolving, and you're kind of getting back to your old self?
Yeah, I hope so. I used to be so happy though before my stroke, and I'm not happy anymore.
You're not happy. Do you know what you're not happy about?
No, it doesn't feel like it's anything specific. Like, I know I can do everything I need to do or want to do. So actually at Christmas time, I did try cross-country skiing. It was really hard.
Was it fun?
Not as fun as it should have been. It was more hard than fun.
Did that make you happy or unhappy?
The idea of doing it made me happy, but the fact that I was sucked at it was not as happy. Actually,
are you also a high achiever?
Maybe.
Do you also are you really hard on yourself when you can't do something perfect?
Yes, I like things to be nice and done well.
Are you a perfectionist?
I don't know if I'm a perfectionist. Like, I actually have, when I do mistakes in my knitting, sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to go back and fix that, and I just let it go.
Okay, but that's very wabi-sabi. Do you know wabi-sabi?
Mm-hmm.
That's a Japanese term for, okay to have imperfection in something, right? The imperfection is necessary.
Yes. Actually, listen, there's a lady that does fashion podcasts. I can't remember what her name is. Anyways, but that was how, she said, if something is claiming to be handmade, you need to be able to find a mistake in it. Or else they're pulling one over your eyes.
I love that.
And so I totally embraced that. Mistakes mean you made it by hand.
But not being able to be a good cross-country skier, that sucks.
Yeah, because where I live in Victoria, we have very moderate weather. So, we don't really get snow. So at Christmas time, I was visiting some family in the middle of the province, in a place called Vernon. And there's a ski hill there called Silver Star Mountain. And so there was snow. And I was I wanted to be able to enjoy the snow. But I don't want it to snow here.
No, I get it. I don't enjoy snow either. I'd rather it's up in the mountains, far, far away from me too.
Yeah, very far for you though.
Yeah, for me, it's not that far. It's about 4 hours away. I can get to snow in winter about 4 hours away from here.
Oh, I didn't realize there was any snow in winter in Australia.
Ah, there's heaps. Yeah, there's at least three or four snowfields I can go to. One in the state, more than one in the state here.
Mm,
There's one. Mount Buller is in Victoria where I can go skiing,
yeah,
proper skiing. Like it's got the whole stuff,
yeah,
resorts and everything up there. And then
nice,
there's a lot of lower little mountains that you can go and just make snowballs and throw them at your kids. Those
nice.
ones are the fun ones. We've been to those ones,
Yeah.
Lake Mountain. And then in New South Wales, which is a few thousand kilometres away, it's about 1,000 kilometres away. That um, uh, they've got some amazing snowfields up there, and people
Mm,
do go there. But they're not. It's not Canada. It's not
no.
Japan. They're not like that
Yeah.
level. But they'll do for a good local snow trip. They do get full. People do go. They quite enjoy
Yeah.
it. But I wouldn't.
Yes. There's one kind of big ski hill on Vancouver Island. It's called Mount
Yeah.
Washington. It's about 3 hours away. But I've
Okay.
never been a big skier. I grew up in the city where skiing wasn't. Ontario's not known for having ski hills. I mean, there are some, but they're not big.
So, are you a good skier?
No.
Okay, so you're not a good skier. You did cross country skiing.
Yeah.
It was hard because you're just generally not a good skier, and you still felt bad about it.
Yeah. Because I still must be. I'm a little bit weak still on my left side, obviously.
Okay. So what you did is you associated your inability to be
Yeah.
great at it, or for it to be a little bit easier, to your deficit still.
Yes. Exactly.
And how does that make you feel, knowing that you still have a deficit where your left side is a little weaker?
Yeah. I feel like it makes me feel like I need to work on it.
Okay. Would it be better? Would you be happier if that was perfect?
Probably, maybe. But it doesn't really
Maybe,
affect my
probably.
day-to-day life, though.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes.
Is that an
So,
acceptance thing, perhaps?
yeah. I just want to be able to live my life like feel normal again.
Uh-huh. I know what you mean, because left side feels completely
Yeah.
different to the right side.
Yeah.
And you always have the reference. You have one always
Yeah.
making you appreciate the way that they're different and therefore, quote unquote, not normal.
Yes. I actually went for quite a large bike ride last weekend. And I was really tired by the end. I was like hunching over, like, even just like, I mean, it was an electric bike, right? So I didn't have to like power it myself, but just like
Yeah.
the strength required to like keep going straight
Mhm.
totally tired me out.
I have an e-bike. I remember when I first got it was for
Mhm.
exactly that reason. So I can keep riding my bike
Mm.
and not get tired riding it, and then being able to get
Yeah.
home. Because what I used to do was on the old bike, I would go to my destination, which might be 10 kilometers away
Yeah.
into the city, and then getting back was a real challenge. So had had the got the e-bike and then realized I could just keep riding all day, but then would come home literally after maybe a 20-kilometer ride and be spent for the rest of the day
Yeah.
and just completely gone. But then with time and as the years passed, I noticed that my bike rides wouldn't do that to me anymore. And I'd have
Nice.
to come home and have a good rest for an hour and a half too. But then
Yeah.
I was back to my tasks for the rest of the day. It wouldn't be an issue. So it does take a bit of time, similar to how you're getting back to cooking. It does take a little bit of time. Even though my weakness
Yeah.
is still there, I still have that ability to uh, go and do those things that were physically more challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, it's a very interesting conversation. It's interesting to hear your perspective as somebody who described herself as a introvert back
Yeah.
then, an extrovert now,
Yeah.
somebody who has overcome some amazing things and gone and got your license at 44. It's
Yeah.
such an interesting thing to hear. Like, do you see the blessings of stroke? Is there such a thing? Can you say that about it? Would you say it that way? I know it's a bit weird to hear that sentence, but
Yes. I can't wait to be able to feel that way fully.
Okay. So you have a glimmer of it, do you? Like, do you have a little
Yeah,
glimmer of it because of the changes that you've made that you appreciate,
yeah,
but you can't fully feel that yet? I get it. It's early days, right?
yeah. I'm about 10 months post-stroke now.
Yeah. So early.
Yeah, that's what
And
everybody keeps
so many
telling me.
big, yeah, and so many big changes so rapidly.
Hmm.
That's a lot to, it is a lot to deal with. You had a stroke. B, you had to overcome all the deficits.
Yeah,
And now you have these personality traits that are different from your previous personality traits.
yeah,
It's a lot of change, a lot of adjustment.
yeah. And like when I left the hospital, like nobody would tell me that I was gonna be okay. Because like you can
Yeah.
always have another stroke. I mean, I always could have had a
Mm.
stroke before I even had one. I just didn't know I needed to be nervous.
But now you know you've had one, so it might happen again.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you on blood
Yes, I'm on
thinners
blood
or anything
thinners
like that?
now. My neurologist said, do not get pregnant and do not go off your blood thinners.
Okay. Do not get pregnant. Why is that a risk?
Well, because your blood starts clotting more when when you're pregnant, because so you don't like bleed out when you have a baby. Your blood does get thicker
Oh,
during pregnancy.
okay. So now he would like you to avoid that if you can.
Yes. Yeah, we don't want to add anything to the weird reason why my blood clots started clotting anyway.
I see. Okay. So blood thinners, is that a permanent thing, or are they talking about perhaps something getting you off that at some point?
No, I think it's permanent.
And what are the things that you would like to kind of achieve or do in the
Mhm.
future now that you've had this thing
Life-changing event.
occur to
Yeah.
you?
I want to travel more.
Have you ever
Like,
traveled outside of Canada?
yes, I went to England to visit my sister once, and I loved it in England. There was so much history and so much old stuff. I thought it was so marvelous.
Hmm.
And public transportation is amazing in England.
Yeah, apparently you could get that.
Can you
The
tell that I
tube.
worked for transit? Like I love transit.
Okay. So not only did you not drive, you worked for the organization that was the
Yeah,
alternative to driving.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you had to embrace it. You embraced it fully.
Hmm. Yeah,
And one of the highlights of traveling to the United Kingdom was seeing the public transport system.
yeah. And also, there was so many like walking there was amazing. There's so many places to walk. Like there's paths everywhere.
Hmm. So it's a
Yes,
very livable city.
yes. The country is livable. I find for that reason.
Yeah. Okay. Um, did you have a "I'm immortal" moment as well? It sounds like you might have had a I
Yeah.
realized that I became immortal all of a
Yes.
sudden.
Yes. I just realized like I could die at any moment.
Did the introversion stop you from living your life fully? Is that what it did? And now that you're not that, you're having these experiences that you perhaps missed out on, or you weren't able to embrace?
No, I was living the life I wanted to live at the time.
Uh-huh. So it's just you want to live a different life now. It's just changed.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely want to travel more now.
Okay. Do you have an explanation for it though? Do you know one of those deeper underlying explanations? Not because, just because. Doesn't sound like you do,
No, I don't. I don't have a good reason for it.
but it's good enough.
Yeah.
I love it. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but Dave is also dealing with all of the stroke and all of the
Yeah.
things that happened to you. You know,
Yes.
nearly lost his wife to a stroke and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How old's Dave?
He's 48.
Yeah, right. So he's kind of thinking, amongst other things, and
Yeah.
I don't want to talk for him because I've never met him, met the
Yeah.
man. But I imagine as a spouse, he's thinking, what's going on here?
Yeah. What's like with the changes, but he had to like live with embrace the fact that I might be disabled for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
Actually, my neurologist told me, "Oh, I couldn't have picked a better spot to have a stroke in my brain."
Uh-huh. Good on you. You are a
Yeah.
high achiever. And why did he say that? Is just simply because of the lack of damage that occurs there, or
Yeah. He must have been in a like a good spot, like because I was physically doing so well.
well, that's good. It sounds like it didn't have there wasn't a major kind of clottage that impacted a lot of the brain in that space as well. It sounds like it was like
Yes.
isolated, quite isolated.
Yeah. But it was considered a major stroke when I was at the hospital. It actually had a little bit of hemorrhagic component, so I did have bleeding in my brain too.
Uh-huh. In the same location,
Yeah.
the blood clot also caused a little bit of bleeding.
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes. It's called a hemorrhagic component.
I imagine that's uncommon.
I don't know. It meant that they couldn't put me on blood thinners right away. So I actually had to get a filter installed in my main vein coming out from my leg on my neck.
Uh-huh. A filter. What did the
Yes.
filter do? What was its role?
It was to collect any blood clots to prevent them from entering my brain.
Uh-huh. Any blood clots that may still be in the circulatory system.
Yeah, exactly. And because of the bleed, they
Wow.
couldn't put me on blood thinners right away. So they had to, that was kind of the interim measure to help protect me.
How long was that in for?
Maybe a week or something.
Okay, and it's just inserted into your artery in your thigh?
Yeah. Actually, it went in through my neck, but they took it out through the thigh.
Okay.
And it was full of clots when they took it out.
It was it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
This thing, I've never heard of that thing either. That it just goes in there and it sits there and collects clots,
Yes.
and then
I think they call it an IVF filter.
Wow. That's fascinating. And it came out in a week, and then you were able to then go on blood thinners.
Yeah, exactly. Once the bleed started to stabilize in my brain.
Yeah, fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, every time I speak to somebody who's had a stroke on my podcast, I learn something new every time. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I was talking about it a little while ago, but it never seems to get old. It still doesn't feel like, for me, that it's getting old, to learn all these different things that are possible now that I don't think were possible 10 years ago. Filters, there's different methods of helping people overcome a secondary clot, help people avoid deficits by improving how quickly hospitals respond and how they respond and with what technology they respond. It's just amazing that things are improving so much, and there are so many people that I got on the podcast who had a stroke who are doing very, very well after what I consider to be a short amount of time. Because people often sort of say, how long does stroke recovery take? And it's like, it doesn't have a timeline. It just continues.
Continue forever.
Yeah.
That gives me hope that one day I can be happier again.
I absolutely believe you could be happier again. And I feel like with incremental improvements, one thing that might continue to incrementally also improve is your happiness level.
Yeah, I hope so.
And the depression will perhaps start to find a way to abating now and then decreasing in how it impacts your life. And then the happiness sort of moving into that space and increasing, dialing it up, turning it up a little and increasing that level of happiness, and then kind of staying there and then being the thing that is more common.
Yes, I can't wait till happiness is more common.
Yeah.
I actually went to something called red light therapy the other day.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
So you probably seen people with like the funny face masks, like to improve your skin with red light.
Yep.
But there's also, I got a helmet on my head, and like it's to put like red light into your brain.
Yes.
And there's actually been studies on it.
Absolutely, there's been studies. And how long does it last, the session?
So maybe it was 20 minutes.
And do you know the spectrum or the strength or any of that stuff? Did you get any of that detail?
No, I don't know it off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Yeah. It just goes on your head, and then they switch it on.
Yep.
And then you sit there. I imagine you probably took your knitting.
I didn't actually.
Fair enough.
I can handle people now.
Yeah, that's right. So you took about 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then you're going back for more. And did you notice anything?
I didn't notice anything, but it's actually not cheap. So like they wanted to sell me $800 for 12 sessions.
Wow.
And so not covered with benefits. However, they did talk me into doing some laser acupuncture tomorrow.
Laser acupuncture. I'm learning a lot. I've never heard of that either.
Yeah, me neither. Apparently, does the same thing to needle.
There's no needle.
No. So for anybody that's squeamish,
Right.
it's a way to get acupuncture.
Okay. I'm going to have to look into that as well.
Yes, I heard that in China, it's normal protocol after strokes to get lots of acupuncture.
It is. I actually had acupuncture after stroke.
Yeah.
And what I find is that it is a very temporary support
Yeah.
measure. It does help, and it helps for a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't mean I'm not encouraging people to try it out or have a look at it. I consider it just as temporary as massage, because I go and get massages all the time because my left side just gets tight and everything gets out of whack. And I can go and get a massage and get relief for 3 or 4 days. But then, it's back. And I can't afford to go and pay for a 1-hour massage session, which costs $100. I can't afford to do that on a weekly basis. So I go once a month.
Yeah.
And by the time I get to the next appointment, week 4 is usually the hardest week. And I can stretch and I can do all sorts of things. But the knots end up in places where, you need somebody's hands to go in and just deal with them. And I can't get. So
I actually, so there's
acupuncture feels like that.
Yeah. There's a coworker that used to work be a bus driver. However, after she retired, she got she got chiropractor, and then she got a stroke from the chiropractor, busting a vein in her neck.
Manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not rare. Unfortunately, that happens.
Yes, of course. She was so disappointed. She's like, I took care of my health my whole life, and then this guy does this to me.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the situation is with that. Like, what happens when that happens? Like, how somebody gets compensated or whatever. I imagine the chiropractor has medical, some kind of insurance or something. Yeah. But that would be horrific for a chiropractor to find out that a manipulation of the neck caused damage to their patient. And if there's anything, I have a friend of mine who's a great chiropractor who I see very, very often. And he's the one that picked up my brain hemorrhages, in that I went and saw him for what I thought was a pinched nerve. And he said, well, there's something wrong other than a pinched nerve. It's not your back. It's not your spine. You need to go to the hospital. And when I eventually went to the hospital, they found the bleeding in my brain. Now, he didn't cause that, but he was the one that was the first sort of port of call for me, because I thought I had done something bending over.
Yeah.
And he's the one who sort of said to me, go and see a doctor about this. And since then, that was 14 years ago. Since then, he's had another patient that came to him with stroke symptoms who he said, you need to go to a hospital as well. So they'd be horrified to find out that a manipulation of the neck while on their table caused one of their patients stroke.
Yes, because everybody knows that stroke is a big deal.
Yeah, it can be deadly. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, we're the lucky ones.
Absolutely, we are. And there seems to be more and more people that are managing to stay alive because of the amazing technology that we have access to these days that we haven't had previously.
Exactly.
So what was other than coming and connecting and chatting to me and being a little bit extroverted, what else were you hoping to achieve by coming on the podcast?
Well, I wanted to give other people hope that maybe they can be okay too.
And okay looks different for people as well, right? So sometimes okay doesn't mean that your deficits all go away.
Yeah, exactly.
It means that you might be able to achieve emotional okayness or mental okayness as well with the stuff that you're dealing with, even though you're not going to be perfect at it, even though you're going to have bad days, even though it's going to get ugly and shitty and dark. Like, still, we're going to maybe perhaps be okay navigating all of that and get to the other side where we'll be able to
live a life that's worth living.
Feel like we're okay,
Yeah.
even though we know it's hard. and
Yeah.
these tough times.
I guess people say life isn't supposed to be easy, but I might say, well,
Oh
it
yeah,
wasn't
do you
supposed to be
feel
this
like
hard. Yeah.
did you feel like it was easy beforehand compared to now?
Yes. Yeah. And I was just easily happy before too.
Hmm. And now the things that you desire are the things that come with a lot more effort. Seems like they're a lot harder to attain.
Mhm. Yeah.
Does that make you feel like you need to step up and do more? Is that what it makes you feel like?
I wish I knew what to
Or do you
do.
feel like say again?
I wish I knew how to get neuroplasticity and make me happy.
Mm. Sometimes they say, I don't know if this is me just minimalizing it and like being completely ignorant about the situation, because I am.
Mhm.
Act as if you are happy.
Yes.
Those laughing
Yeah.
classes?
Like fake it till I make it.
Yeah. Like you did with extroversion.
Yeah, exactly. I did fake it and now I made it. Now I can be extrovert for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. It could be the hack, your hack, you just pretend that you're happy. Not,
Yeah.
I don't want to say that I don't want to be insensitive when I say that.
No.
And I'm not saying to do that as a
Mm.
way to make other people think you're happy.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
saying to act as if you are happy so that you can potentially, maybe, perhaps,
Yeah, feel actual happiness.
illuminate those
Mm.
neuronal pathways
Yeah,
where happiness occurs so that they stick, right? But also maybe you
exactly.
can imagine yourself being happy in a
Mhm.
meditation, because
Yeah.
imagining yourself also lights up those
Yeah.
small pathways. I don't know.
Yes. Exactly like you said you were imagining yourself walking before you could walk.
Indeed.
And it
Yeah,
lights up the same areas.
it does.
Thinking is the
And
same
I
as
felt
actually
like I
doing.
was, it is. Yeah. And there was a study recently that, oh my gosh, now I just remembered, I don't know if I've saved that information. There was a study recently um, that revealed that even thinking uh, a particular way about yourself
Yeah.
activates muscles, or speaking about yourself. So, how people
Mhm.
speak negatively about themselves.
Yeah.
And there's been lots of studies to sort of show that just thinking negatively about yourself is the same as saying it.
Yeah.
What they've shown is the next stage of that, which is just thinking negatively about yourself or positively about yourself, actually fires off muscle fibers in the jaw, in the mouth, where people
Mhm.
usually, where it goes to next when you start speaking. So it feels like the circuit, they're talking
Yeah.
about the circuit is much larger than just, I thought about it, that
Yeah.
it doesn't have any more
Yeah. It doesn't
impact on
end
the
there.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it definitely does. It ends in the way that your dopamine
Right.
activates, your serotonin, all those kinds of things. And then it also fires off muscle fibers
Yeah.
before that stage, before the jaw moves and speech
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
So it's really important to, if you can, fake it, so that you're practicing what it's like to be happy, perhaps.
Mhm.
That might be the thing. But then also, I want to make sure people are very aware and comfortable in
Yeah.
understanding that if you feel unwell, and then if you feel unhappy, and if it is a problem, that you don't gloss over it and pretend that
No.
you're okay.
Yes.
You definitely seek support in any way that you can to
Mhm.
work through it and overcome it, because a lot of people can overcome it.
Yeah. I do. I am on medication as well from my doctor.
Antidepressants.
Yes.
And have they been helpful for you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because if they were helpful, I'd be happy by now, wouldn't I?
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I actually
I'm
I
not
just upped my dose this week.
You're off them?
I upped it.
Oh, you upped it. Okay.
Yeah. But
And
actually,
what's the thing?
I did hear somewhere that sertraline, which is what I'm on, it actually increases neuroplasticity in our brain.
It does.
Yes. Actually, my therapist told me that people who are neurodivergent also are more neuroplastic.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you get any more information on that? How are they more neuroplastic? Why?
I should do some research in that because I just took her word for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you neurodivergent?
A little bit, yeah. Actually, there's one comment a doctor said put a comment in my file that I said something that made him think that I might be slightly neurodivergent. I wonder what I
Uh-huh.
said.
Yeah. And other than neurodivergent, there was no diagnosis. They didn't say
No,
on the spectrum of autism or anything
no,
like that.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
but I'm interested.
One
I wonder what
comment.
I said.
One comment made you stand out. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Heidi might be neurodivergent as well.
Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people who in later life, like I'm in my 50s, I'll be 52 in a few months,
Mm.
who have kind of said to me, that all the information out about ADHD now or
Yeah.
all these things, I've been reading, geez, that sounds like me, or gosh, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
My whole generation went through teenage years and all that kind of stuff, being labeled as cheeky, as this, as that, as whatever.
Yeah. Like a
We
troublemaker
didn't
and
have
stuff.
diagnosis. Yeah, we didn't have
Yeah.
diagnosis. We just had labels.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good kid, but God, he can be crazy, or he's a good kid, but he never settles down. He's always off with the fairies. Like you hear all
Yeah.
these things, and now in our 50s, everyone's going, "Oh yeah, that sounds like me." It's kind
Yeah.
of normalized how they feel about themselves, that this is not a label. It's just the way my brain is different. It works in a
Yeah.
different way. And I got to my 50s, I was able to find a way to manage. I live a really relatively normal life. I was able to overcome challenges. I work, I paid a mortgage off, I raised
Yeah.
kids. But I think kind of getting there without a diagnosis kind of made it, what's the word? I don't know. I'm speaking for myself, okay? Once again,
Yes.
for
You
those
had to go
people,
the
it
long
sounds like
way.
it feels like yeah, you kind of become resilient in finding solutions. Like you have to
Mm.
manage all of these things. So you find solutions and you kind of get somewhere anyway.
Yeah.
And while I like people having more information, I love it that people get diagnoses
Mm-hmm.
now. You can, and you can go get tested, etc.
Yeah.
While I think that's great, I think the part that's lacking is that now that you have this diagnosis, all it means is you just have to find a different pathway to get to your outcome, because
Exactly.
your traditional pathway, going to
Yeah.
school, sitting down in a chair for 8 hours a day, that's not the pathway for you.
That doesn't work for you anymore. No. Or it never worked for you. And it was never going to work. You
Yeah.
weren't doing it
Yeah.
wrong. It just wasn't going to work for you.
Yeah. It was just that you were put into the wrong place and things,
Yeah.
and nobody knew any better. But now that they know, and now that
Mm-hmm.
you can manage, you can find a way around it. And that's what a lot of 50-year-olds kind of seem to be telling me these days.
Mm.
They all seem to be going, oh my gosh, this fits, this fits, this fits. I'm like that. And I was like, dude, I knew you were like that because I've always known you
Mm-hmm.
to be this way.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
but it's what made me love you. Like, it's why I hung out with you. I have a friend of mine who was so ADHD
Mm.
that he was only fun to be around, because we were always doing something fun and wild and
Yes.
crazy that I wouldn't do on my own, that I wasn't allowed to do
Yeah.
as a kid. But when I was with this particular person, boy, life was interesting. But it did interfere with his life later. It became a real challenge. He had to overcome it. And
Mm-hmm.
now in his 50s, he's starting to find really uh, a way around all of the challenges and kind of finding good solutions that
Yeah.
he's implemented on his own to not be impacted by this uh, particular
Yes.
thing that he
Mm-hmm.
grew up with. That his parents were from Greece.
Yeah.
They came to Australia in the 60s.
Yes.
They weren't educated. So they couldn't help him other than try and rein him in when he was on
Yeah.
his when he was just doing what he was doing, though they couldn't do anything else. But they did their best, and I think they did a great job personally.
Yeah.
They were very mild mannered and calm about his behavior.
Yes. Which probably helped.
Yeah. And they never not loved him. They always still loved him, and always, you know,
Yeah.
did the best they could, but they just didn't have the type of information that we have these
Yes.
days.
All we can do is the best that we can with the knowledge we have at the time.
That's such a wise saying.
Hmm.
Indeed. I agree with that. It's a good thing, especially to remember when you're being hard on your parents,
Mm-hmm.
and give them a bit of a break and allow them the grace to be imperfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder, Heidi, as we wrap up,
Yeah.
if you could share one lesson from your journey with someone that was recently diagnosed, what might it be?
Well, I want to say time, but I hated hearing that. Yeah, you need to hone in your
Mm,
patience and be willing to put in some effort. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. You can do hard things. I have a sticker on the
that's
mirror in my
beautiful.
bedroom now that says, "You can do hard things." Hard shit, it says, actually.
That's beautiful. And on that note, thank you so much for reaching out and joining me on the podcast.
No problem at all. This was great. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If Heidi's story resonated with you, I'd really appreciate your support in helping this podcast reach more people who need it. You can support the show by purchasing the book by going to recoveryafterstroke.com/book, leaving a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, supporting the podcast on Patreon, or simply commenting on the YouTube channel and sharing your thoughts. Every one of those actions helps more stroke survivors find these conversations and feel less alone. And as always, remember, you can do hard things.
Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gassiamis. The content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.